Doubles and coffee. PNM play the race card so much. They're so desperate to play a race card. They don't even know when to play it, how to play it, or what to play. In the Parliament and the Standing Finance Committee, Gadsby Dolly, a former Minister of Education, the worst in history, said that the UNC, referring to the PNM's behavior as hooligan or hooliganism, was racist. Racist? Gadsby Dolly read a book. The term hooligan means drunken misbehavior, violent conduct. In recent times, it has been used to describe sport fans who act as hooligans, mainly white Europeans in football matches and so on. Furthermore, the origin can be traced to Ireland, from hooligan, from a family of rogues who fought and drank and battered white people, battering white people. So where you get race from hooligan, Gadsby Dolly, only you and you alone will know. Furthermore, to Keith Scotland, who all of a sudden in opposition is claiming to be this bastion of the black man supporting the downtrodden and so on, as he sat in a PNM government since 2020 and before that supporting them since September 2015. He, when the same East Port of Spain residents rose up when they saw police activity, killing 3 men in a gold teeter with their hands up and man picking up shells and so on. And Stuart Smallpin Young said that the UNC paid those young men to protest, thereby signifying that those young men are not intelligent enough to watch a video and find something wrong. They're not intelligent enough to know about their rights, their human rights, their rights to natural justice and so on. That's the opinion of Stuart Smallpin Elitist Young. And Scotland went on a committee that was supposed to provide some sort of relief after 60 years of PNM neglect to their own PNM supporters, creating hotspots in PNM constituencies, especially in East Port of Spain. And you know, the only one who benefited from that committee was in fact Keith Scotland, who sat on the committee and got paid $10,000 to sit on a committee to come up with solutions for his own constituency that he was duly elected to represent and was being paid a salary as an MP to bring relief. Keith Scotland tried to present in the Standing Finance Committee a case of racism, neglect, oppression by the removal of CPEP, URP, and that now there have been cuts to possible funding, even though the minister was at pains to say the board will be appointed and projects will continue and so on, with agreement of the Minister of Finance. But let's forget the truth and so on. Let's go to the coal pot man and the lying man who say he will ride a bike while he's driving his big fancy Range Rover and filling it up with either diesel or premium, depending on the model that he has, that I don't care. But the coal pot man is trying to say that the UNC has marginalized East Port of Spain. Scotland, East Port of Spain has been marginalized, oppressed, depressed, suppressed, harassed, harangued, and left to hang out to dry by the PNM since 1956. You have been in charge. You have run those constituencies. You have run this government for 76.2% of our entire independent existence. Yet you, the PNM, is responsible for the condition of black people in East Port of Spain. So for you to come now screaming at the top of your high-pitched voice with your twisted hair, you took out the weave and went by the hairdresser to twist your piece of remaining hair falling in your face. You should get it longer to cover that face. For I went outside and saw a bullfrog just last night. And I said, look, Keith Scotland, you, Keith Scotland, have to be ludicrous and ridiculous to claim prejudice racism and oppression from a government that has just come in, and a government and coalition that has only run this country for 15 years out of the 60-something years of independence, 63 years. You have no shame, Keith Scotland. You yourself as a black bencher when the PNM was in government, you could not even get a kobo sweat as Attorney General. You could not. They found Al-Rawi a total dunce in tight pants, taking picture with 3 men in a mirror. Your track record as a legal luminary is far greater than Al-Rawi. You're a flop as a parliamentarian and a whatever you were in the PNM. But you are a black bencher. You got oppressed, just like the PNM oppresses black people. The 1970 Black Power Revolution was against the PNM. The PNM was in charge. Eric Williams was the Prime Minister. Black people were not getting opportunities and had to protest and riot and nearly take over because such was the oppression of the PNM. For you to sit there and try to claim race and oppression of the UNC, whenever the UNC is in power, black people rise, black communities rise, the infrastructure improves, educational performance improves, educational enrollment in MIC and NESC and scholarship and GATE and UTT and COSTAT and UE increases under the UNC. The UNC, since Bastille Pandey, Kamala Prasad Visesa 2010, 2015, under Fazal Karim, and now once again, helps black people rise. Keith Scotland, you are an oppressive. You are suffering from mental slavery. You don't even know that. The PNM has thwarted whatever brain cells you feel you have. So there is no merit to your argument that any government other than the PNM oppresses black people. St. Philip's School, all the schools in PNM constituencies were left for 9.5 years, $565 billion, and they are dilapidated. Those schools in at-risk areas should be the best, and don't worry, Kamla will do it. They should have air conditioning, full fencing, guards and security outside, football and tennis, indoor sporting facilities, computers, laptops, each child, tablet, teachers, highly paid, extracurricular activities, karate, swimming, football, hockey, anything, netball that they want, so that children in at-risk areas could get a hand up to compete against those others who were not beholden to the PNM. All the people for decades who gave their life to the PNM are oppressed, except for those councillors and parliamentarians whose families, because of recusals, make millions of dollars in maintenance contracts at HDC, across the board in CPEP contracts. Even you and some of your parliamentarians sitting down next to you, ask Karim Marcel how we get $2.7 million in CPEP contract. That's not a small man. So keep Scotland, slow your roll, boy. Read a book, read history, feel the history of the PNM. The PNM is anti-black man. The PNM oppresses black people. The PNM bans Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture, yet you all dress up. Amory Brown with us off the shoulder. African garb for emancipation. But you have not allowed black people to be emancipated from mental slavery of the PNM. But don't worry, Kamla Prasad Visesa has done that and will continue to do that. Because she governs for all, she loves all her children, and all would succeed. When Kamla Prasad Visesa was the Prime Minister in 2014, $726 million a year was spent on GATE. 58,000 young people were benefiting, studying. Tech VOC increased. THTTI, the Hotel Institute, was open. You closed that. You oppress all opportunities for black people. The PNM took black people from the 1960s and 70s who were the scholars at QRC and so on. Black man was topping the academics. The Indian was basically illiterate, functionally illiterate, coming out the cane fields and not having political power. But other Indian groups and religions decided to invest in education and school, not with money, but with time and with books. And the East Indians, while they had no political power, moved from functionally illiterate to academic dominance from since 1990 coming forward. East Indians, that's why Crow had to sing all kind of things, make up lies about getting preferential treatment to schools to get under his common entrance nonsense, when it was hard work, discipline and sacrifice from East Indian parents. Keith Scotland, you and all, I wish my East Indian mother had left you to be the dunce that you were, because it was my mother who allowed you back in the mid-80s to come to her house to study with my older brother, that you managed to have a positive life and become a good attorney, a failed parliamentarian and an idiotic politician, but you were a brilliant attorney. But the PNM didn't even give you a sweat. They get Al-Rawi. They let Stuart Smallpin Young, a complete dunce bully from CIC, all he did was bully Imran. Let him act as Attorney General while you sat there with nothing as a black bencher. Then when they eventually change it, they come to Limo, a next light-hued color one, and you with your big black face, strong black man, couldn't get nothing, your black bencher in the PNM. So don't come and talk race now. The Douglas can talk race, because the Douglas is a proud black man and a proud East Indian from my father and from my mother. So don't play games, you clowns. You worse than Stuart Smallpin Young. You are oppressed and you do not even know that you are oppressed in the PNM, and that your constituents are oppressed and have been oppressed by the PNM, that they were told to wean themselves off of the resources, while the cabinet, which you were not a part of because you too black to be in the PNM cabinet, they were recusing themselves 100 times. Stuart Smallpin Young, not black, 100 recusals. Faris Al-Rawi, aka Johnny Sukaran, tight pants, take picture with two men in a gym in short pants. 100 recusals. Their rentals and the hundreds of millions, their families in the billions of dollars of resources. Why you didn't go and tell them to give resources to your people of East Port of Spain? You're fraud, Keith Scotland. You're fraudulent in your manhood. You're fraudulent in your academics. You're fraudulent in the parliament. You're fraudulent in your stated accusations about the UNC and racism. Check yourself before you wreck yourself more, Scotland. Boy, I shame you and Fatima. Shame.